Well, what's packing, everybody? Hey, TJ. Cheers,
How you doing,
buddy.
sir? How you doing?
My
Glad to
man.
be here.
Oh, dude, that is good.
Nice and
I
cold.
would cheers with you guys too.
Cheers, sauce.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Dude, I just got out of the gym, too. I'm
Okay.
back in the gym. I took like 2 months off. Work, family, the holidays, Thanksgiving. You get a little turkey plump.
Yes.
I realized Friday morning I was a fat bastard. I was laying on my couch. I have a pet pig.
You have a pet pig.
I have a pet pig. Her name is Daisy May Lemons.
Okay.
She's adorable. And I swear to God, when I was laying there and one of my friends came over, he's like, bro, I couldn't tell the difference between you and your pig. I was like, all right, I got to go to the gym. I was like, that's it. We're laying on the couch together. Her stomach's, she's in a complete food coma. I'm in a food coma. We're watching football. I'm like, I got to change things up here. You know how people resemble their animals or their animals resemble their owners, that
Right.
type of thing?
Right.
I was like, bro, me and my pig look identical right now. I was like, I don't want to look like a pig. I got to get back in the gym. So I went to the gym today. I'm drinking my Bang energy. I'm a little wired, but now I'm having a Corona with you. The one that comes in a bottle, not a cough.
Dude, it's so funny that you mentioned the gym because I recently just got back to the gym too.
Yeah.
And the gym that I go to has a day count on when was the last time you went.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Were you in the 300s or 400s? Don't lie to me, Sauce.
Dude, no lying. I wrote it down 614 days.
Oh,
614
holy
days.
shit, dude.
Yeah.
Since the last time that you went?
To that gym, yes.
Listen, I'm no expert in math. I'm not a mathematician, but that's years you're on, bud.
That's it's almost 2 years, brother.
Plural.
Yes.
It's almost 2
Holy
years.
shit. Hey, good for you. Hey, Sauce, cheers to you, dude.
Thank you.
You're back in it.
Thank you.
Hell
Gotta
yeah,
do it,
man.
baby. Gotta
Everyone's
do
got to
it.
start somewhere.
Yes.
Speaking of starting somewhere, TJ,
Yes.
where have you started? What do you do? Please explain to everyone that's listening. You are what your full name is, what your whole spiel. The mic is yours.
Yes. Thank you, sir. So my name is TJ, and I think I would like to start with a story. So I'm an empowerment coach, and I like to focus on people's sense of self-trust. And this is a foundation for how people act and believe in themselves and believe in the world. And that's what I like to really dig into when I'm talking to people, is focusing on what they really believe in and going to the subconscious level. So that's the main focus, is working with people on what they believe in, what they understand about themselves, and understanding more of themselves on a deeper level. So what I do is I work one-on-one with people through 1 hour sessions, and through a matter of maybe 2 or 3 months, them understanding more about who they are, what it is that they want to do with their life, a sense of confidence that they're maybe lacking in their life. And I like to focus on leaving with not just my education, not just my wisdom, but I really essentially want them to leave with tools that make them graduate to not need me as a coach or therapist, to actually have tools to walk away with that they know how to operate in a healthy way without me.
So you're not. So please explain to me the difference between a life coach and an empowerment coach.
Yeah, that's a good question.
There sounds very similar. So pretty much everyone has low points in life. That's part of life. Life is a roller coaster. It is not a merry-go-round. It's not a carousel. It's not the same thing over and over again. There's ups, there's downs, there's highs, there's lows. Honestly, I think everyone would prefer it that way. You want the highs. You work for the highs. The lows come, but you learn in the lows. That's part of being low. The only way that man made it this far is by challenge. Everything is a challenge. Life's a challenge. We got to conquer it. That's what it's about. That's what gives us drive, determination. That's why we're meant like this. This is why we're created with hands and feet and a mind and a subconscious and conscious and determination and ambition and all these great things that make us all human. That's everyone goes through it. Everybody's human. Everyone has emotions. Everyone has needs. Everybody has wants. Everyone has dreams. So we all have the lows. And when we're in our low point, we look to a guy like TJ to help us through these lows.
Yes, they do.
And hopefully conquer these mountains that are in front of us. So the difference between an empowerment coach and a life coach is?
So the life coaching is just a umbrella term, and there's different kinds of approaches and styles for coaching. For me, what I consider empowerment coaching is it's an ontological approach. And ontology in philosophy is the study of being. And the way that I like to approach my clients, and when I'm looking at someone, when you're telling me a story, I'm not necessarily focusing on the content of what you're saying. It's important, but I'm looking at what it indicates. I'm looking at the underlying belief system. I'm looking at the emotions that are attached to what you're saying. I have this 3D panoramic perspective where I'm intuiting. I'm picking up things that you may not even know you're expressing. And that's the approach that I think is different from general life coaching versus empowerment coaching, is that I'm focusing on people's subconscious, people's understanding of who they are. And I think empowerment is about a certain mindset of a shift in your being, right? It's shifting and it's focusing on you as a being. It's not just giving advice. Life coaching is anyone that considers themselves a life coach and yet just gets on a call with you and gives you advice. I don't think that that's a life coach. That's just someone just throwing out advice thinking that this is how to help someone.
Yeah.
But true empowerment, it comes when you believe in yourself, not when I'm giving you something, right? Not when you create a sense of dependence on me, but rather when you can walk away not needing me anymore. Self-sufficiency is what I'm talking about. And empowerment leaves you with a sense that I can do it, not because of TJ I can do it, but I believe in myself now. That's true empowerment.
I agree. And so for the life coaching, it's people that have accomplished things in life that are pretty much handing their playbook over to somebody that hires them for a service. They're saying, listen, here's what I've done. Here's the steps that I've taken. You should do the same thing. Here's the advice on how to do it. An empowerment coach recognizes that nobody's the same. We are all different and everybody has specialty needs. So you're listening to these people's problems, kind of like a little therapist. You're doing a little therapy. You're finding out what the core is of what's their intuition, what they really want. And then you're there to kind of decipher those deep conscious thoughts.
Yeah, just
am I on the ball?
You are. Just a clarification.
Yeah.
Is that coaching is not therapy, and the reason why the ways in which it differs is that therapists will focus mostly on the past and healing certain traumas. That's not my field, right? I don't focus on that. And a lot of the time people go to therapy when they're not feeling okay, when there is something maybe like chronic anxiety or depression, right?
Yep.
So these are sometimes even diagnosable things.
Yeah.
I don't work with people like that, right?
Yeah.
If you have
So if
those
someone
things,
is bipolar or schizophrenic, you're not the guy.
100% no.
You're
That's
not the
a
guy.
clear no.
No? Oh,
yeah.
so you don't want to have like 19 different personalities that you try and like, one day this person wants to be a singer. The other day
Right.
it wants to work at McDonald's. And then you got to help out how to be the best employee and also be Shania Twain on the side.
Right. It'd be very interesting coaching
very
them.
interesting coaching.
Right?
All the
but
possibilities.
It's here's the thing. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I'm not trained for that, right?
That brings me to a bigger question. What is your training? What's your resume? How does one become an empowerment coach?
Right. So I went through training at the Coach Training Alliance. I call it CTA.
Okay.
And this is just a training that takes you through all of what it takes to be a life coach. And that's the first thing I did. And then I got a second certification from the governing body of life coaches in the world called the ICF, the International Coaching Federation.
Okay.
So I went through them to get my ACC. It's the first certification.
You got a lot of initials there, dude. A lot of abbreviations.
Yes.
You got a lot of, I feel like somewhere in your house, there's a wall with a lot of papers behind frames that has a lot of signatures and gold stamps on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's
not
not
like
like
that.
it's not behind me as I give sessions. It's
it's
somewhere else
there.
where I can see it.
Yeah.
You
You got a bookshelf?
I have three bookshelves.
You
in my
got,
room.
yeah. You look like a bookshelf guy. You
I
got
am.
books on the shelf?
I do many books on the
You
shelf.
read those books?
Most of them.
Most of
Not
them?
all of them.
You go to like what, a yard sale, buy a lot of them, and they just throw them in there?
Yeah, I have this infinitely growing
Just growing sense of knowledge?
No, that
thirst
too.
for knowledge?
Thirst for knowledge, sure. Yeah, that's that brings me to kind of jump to something else. That brings me to the reason why I got into life coaching, right? This kind of thirst for knowledge. And so it's an interesting story. When I was 18, I went through my first existential crisis. And so an existential crisis is, for those who are listening who don't know, it's just you're going through a leveling of what it means to be you. Like, it's almost like a spiritual ego death. It can be like that, but you're questioning the fundamental questions of life. What is worth living? This kind of stuff.
Your existential crisis reminds me of a situation that I went through. A spiritual awakening. That's what I had. That's what, at least, and then I went and studied meta law and all that type of stuff, and got myself into therapy, and did all types of stuff to change the course of my life and where I was at in the stage of my life.
Right.
I completely relate to what you're saying. You went through it at 18, very young.
Yeah,
very young.
So the thing that stimulated it, and this is going to tie back into why I'm doing coaching, is, so when I was 18, I was just with my best friend, and Brian actually knows him. I think Matteo.
Okay.
Mateo.
Yes.
Matteo.
Yeah, shout out to him. That dude has changed my life so
I
much.
hope he's doing well.
Really?
I haven't seen him in forever. How's he doing?
He's good, man. He's up in Maine. He's doing tattoos.
Wow,
That's
good.
great.
I'm actually going to Maine. I'm going to Maine after Christmas.
Yeah?
I'm going to Portland.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
dude. Right, I'm going up there the 27th.
Shout out to you, Mateo.
29th. Yeah. Shout out to Mateo, dude. He does tattoos. I may stop by.
Maybe you should.
I know, dude.
I'll link you up with him.
I know, dude. Maybe.
Yeah.
I need
He'll
to
change your life too.
Really?
Get a little heart with
That's
mom
my
written
guy,
in it.
bro.
Yeah.
A little heart with mom. That's the one tattoo I don't have.
That's the one you need.
I don't have one that has mom on it. I don't.
what you need.
I have a bunch of wild shit. But
Maybe I can coach you around that. What
You
is
should.
it about?
You should, right?
What is it about mom? that you-
What is it about mom? Oh, Jesus. This is only an hour, okay? It's only an hour. So you're 18. You have an existential crisis. You and your friend, what's the situation that arose?
So imagine this. We're just, it's nighttime. We just came out of watching a movie, and we went to, we were on this hill outside looking at the stars. And it's funny because this was the moment when things shifted, but leading up to that, subconsciously, I was already having these thoughts. But there's a difference between considering psychologically and feeling it in your body in a visceral way. And I'm looking up at the stars, and Matteo is telling me, all right, draw a line from your body to the moon, and from the moon to that big star, from that big star to that small star. And I looked at the landscape that was in front of me, the landscape of just the infinite.
Yep.
And just in a split second, there was a shift in my perception. My perception just shifted, and I stopped seeing from left to right, like, okay, a whole array of stars. And I started to look with depth at what was actually in front of me and this expanse of nothingness. And this change in scale, this vastness of length with depth that finally I was able to recognize, took me outside of the perspective of this can in front of me is small and this studio is big relative to my body.
Yeah.
And that shift to be able to see myself as a microscopic being
Floating on a rock through space.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's
So I for me, what I describe that as is validation of longing. We're all on this thing. We're longing for something. We're all here for a purpose. Some people are born to be teachers. Some people are born to be parents. Some people are born to be presidents. That's the way it is. We all have a longing. And I think people get sidetracked in life. And when you have a moment of validization of your longing, when you realize that light bulb goes off, oh shit, that's what I was supposed to do. It happens that Colonel Sanders, dude, that guy didn't make fried chicken until he was 65 years old. Okay. It took
Now
him
it makes sense.
Ray Kroc, McDonald's, didn't make it till he was 61. You're talking about the two biggest restaurant chains in the world. The owners of them didn't make it to their 60s. They didn't have a longing validization until later on in life.
Right.
A lot of people get handcuffed. They get balled and chained down to that salary. And there, it's the only thing. The blinders go on, and you don't look at the stars no more. You look at the traffic lights. You're commuting. You're not thinking about it. You're looking at this paycheck has to pay for X, Y, Z. Then my monthly income, maybe I can afford that. Maybe I can't. But you're not looking at the longing of what you should be doing for your heart and soul.
Yeah, and for people that need to survive, this is a real satisfaction of needs. And I don't want to say that this is not the right thing to do. People need to satisfy their needs, take care of their family. These are all good things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But you have to also look at what's actually going to matter when you're near death. Like who actually are you if you're not just, if you're just satisfying needs, who actually are you, right?
Yep.
So let's go back to that story. So in the moment you're saying, okay, I found a sense of purpose. At that moment, I didn't find a sense of purpose. In that moment, I lost all purpose.
Oh, be like water.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I mean is my perception became fluid.
Yeah.
My sense of reality, of truth for the first time stopped being a singular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to be something that was relative to my perspective. And I could see that my reality was, my sense of perception was limited to what I could think, what I could feel.
Yep.
And just seeing myself as this small fragment in space, it shifted me. It made me reconsider everything. And so I didn't have this, I know what the meaning of life is. It was like, holy shit, I feel like
I got to do something here. There's something that's inside of me that I got to go and chase after, get after this thing.
For sure. It was like being like metaphorically cracked in the head and like having a vacuum open up from that hole. Yep. And I just wanted to know everything. I wanted to understand why does anything exist?
Yeah.
Why am I here? What does it mean to be human? And that sent me on a journey. If you know Joseph Campbell, he talks about the hero's journey. It's like a journey that defines oneself, right? And that for me, that was my hero's journey. So I went through months of anxiety and even like panic because I didn't know what reality was or what it means to be human or why even live, right?
Yeah.
And so that journey of discovering my truth, discovering who I was, and just the beauty of just being here, the fact that we are even consciously aware that we're here, that's the beauty of that. That journey took me into studying philosophy at university, and the conversations that I was able to have from the passion that I have organically, plus the way of speaking and the methods I use, the methods of reasoning from the philosophy. Those two things allowed me to speak to people in a way that they felt transformed, and people kept saying, you should do life coaching.
Yeah.
And after a while I was like, you know what? Fuck, man, I should.
You should.
And so I just, at 25, I committed to it. And
Good for you.
Yeah. Let me get a certification and get started.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. When your classes in philosophy, where were they?
Purchase.
Yep. Yeah. I tell you what, there's some wild minds of Purchase, dude.
Very, very creative school.
There's a very creative school.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do finger paints naked or what?
I have.
You have. Don't make it a bad guy, dude. Don't make it a bad guy.
Of course. Yeah.
Shit. That's great.
Allow different parts of yourself,
You got to explore yourself. You got to unlock break down those barriers, let go of those walls, let go of the preconceptions of what you're meant to do, and find out what you're supposed to do. And I'm a big believer in that. I think you will feel the same way. I'm a dreamer. I'm a believer. And there's people in life that are dreamers and believers. They're the ones that are always going to be at the plate, swinging the bat, and that's part of life. Okay. Then there's other people that aren't believers. They aren't dreamers, and you see them every day of the week. You hear their stories. You see them, and they fall into a world that it's overwhelming. It's an overwhelming world that overthinking. There's a lot of pressure that they put on themselves. I think people really overthink and put a lot of pressure on themselves, unnecessary pressure. Once you get outside of your own mind and you ask people around you, if you communicate your feelings properly about the pressures that you feel inside on yourself, that you constantly think every day. Listen, we're in our minds 24/7, 7 days a week. What is it? 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. We are our best friends. We are in our minds every day. We are there. Our conscience is with us from the moment we're born to the moment we die. And a lot of people overthink their lives. They overthink their daily routines, a lot of anxiety, a lot of pressure. Do you, in your work, what is your best solution or solution? Everyone's different. What's your way of what's your way of dealing with somebody that is an overthinker, that has suffers from anxiety, depression? How do you help somebody in this situation?
Right. So depression, anxiety, I'm going to put that to the side. That's for therapists, right? But
so depression and anxiety, what's the difference between depression and anxiety in your mind?
Well, there's a few differences. One that comes to mind is depression generally comes with a sense of stuckness. Anxiety is usually about a desire to control the future, a desire to avoid what you fear will happen.
Okay.
That tends to be the difference.
Yep.
Yeah. Anxiety, it's tends to be more about the future. Depression tends to be more about the past and what you determine about who you are as a person. Right? That tends to be what it's about.
Depression, reflection of the past. Anxiety, anticipation of the future.
As a vast simplification.
As a vast simplification. Yeah, listen, we're not.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist. We're just going here.
Right.
But
generally, yes.
Generally speaking.
So I'll speak about overthinking. Overthinking comes from a root of fear. That's the root emotion of overthinking. And one thing I want people to take away from this is that overthinking, depression, anxiety, perfectionism, none of these things are your enemies. You shouldn't try to destroy or get rid of them, right? Instead, you have to welcome them in and look at them honestly to say, why is it that I'm overthinking? What's the purpose of this overthinking? What is it trying to help me to do, right? So I don't really believe in self-sabotage, but many people think, oh, this perfectionism, it's stopping me from doing this. It's stopping me from doing that. It's a bad thing. I want to get rid of it. But the thing is when you resist the reality that you have some sense of perfectionism, or if you have overthinking, when you reject that, you actually can't deal with it properly. The first step to dealing with something that's happening inside of you is allowing yourself to acknowledge it, to recognize that it's going on inside of you, and to not reject it, but to allow the emotion to be there, to give it emotional space. And so if you're overthinking, to recognize, okay, I'm currently wrapped up in my head. I'm cut off at the neck. Okay. And to not say, oh, too late. I'm in my head already. All right. Yeah. Oh, well. And you beat yourself up. Oh, I shouldn't be overthinking. Right. Or I should have had done this by now. Why am I procrastinating so much? Yeah. Right. To catch yourself in that loop. Yeah. Right. And to I would say, leave space, to do less. That's what I'm really getting at, is do less and allow that to come up. Because when you look deeper into overthinking, you can see that it's a genuine endeavor for you to protect yourself. And that's not something to hate about yourself.
Stay in your comfort zone. I think a lot of people, everybody, we're afraid of things that we don't know, things outside of our comfort zone. The hard thing is to do something that's uncomfortable. And that's why it makes it hard. If it was comfortable, it'd be easy. Right. Everyone would do it. I had a football coach who'd say, listen, work is hard. If it was hard, everyone would do it. This situation, whatever you're in, it's hard because not a lot of people are going to be able to do what you're currently doing. That's what makes it hard. That's what makes it an achievement. That's what makes it work. That's the part of it.
Right. And it's not just about doing things that are difficult, right?
Challenging.
Yeah, discomfort is a big part of it, right? To avoid discomfort. But there's a lot of other things that may be even deeper, maybe a sense of safety that you're trying to get by overthinking. So that there's a loop that's created where you have a lack of sense of safety. Maybe when you were young, maybe your family was a bit chaotic and you couldn't predict your mom and dad's emotions and if they were going to give you love or not. So you had to predict how they were going to act and people please and kind of act a certain way for them. Or maybe someone betrayed you, maybe a partner betrayed you. And so you're constant, because it hurts so much, maybe you're now saying, okay, let me think about this person. And does this person have similar traits and patterns to the other person that hurt me so I can avoid that pain again?
Yep.
So you're just trying to protect yourself. And these sense of insecurity causes you to overthink as a way to try to avoid the pain that you're projecting onto the future. Oh, if I can think through it, I can predict it, and then I can avoid it. But the thing is, that thinking is coming from a state of insecurity in itself. So that thinking is going to create more insecurity. So this is just to point out the fact that overthinking becomes an addiction. It is...
for all the self-sabotagers out there, I hope you are listening to this point right now. This is, I mean, what you're describing.
These are real gems.
A real gem of information. It sounds like a lot of people we know. I feel your client, you can, tell me or not. Your clientele, is it young or old?
It's generally from the ages like 27 to about 35. I've had some, people up and down from there, but generally.
Yeah, generally 27. That sounds about right. I mean, from what you're explaining, I feel like our age group, particularly, is an age group of self-sabotagers. Here's where
would
my
benefit greatly.
Right?
There's no such thing as self-sabotage.
Really? You don't think people self-sabotage themselves?
No. The thing is, people have different parts of themselves that aren't in agreement, but I don't think that...
But you also said that it could be an addiction.
Here's the thing.
Turning it into an addiction, wouldn't that be self-sabotage?
Yeah, so self-sabotage, I'm not too sure. Here's the thing. I believe in self-sabotage, okay? I think that people do things to themselves to sabotage their future, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, okay? Now, you're on the opinion that we have subconscious thoughts based on traumas, based on events in our life, correct me if I'm wrong, based on events in our life that come through in overthinking the current situations and overthinking your relationships, which leads sometimes to the situation falling apart because of actions that you do based on subconscious thoughts, overthinking. Mm-hmm. So I think, Brian, am I reinstating
You're on the money, baby.
I'm on the money?
You're on the money.
I'm on the money? All right. So there's no self-sabotage. It's just subconscious thoughts that are in repetition and then a big loop.
Yeah. So it's almost like I'm redefining self-sabotage and the place in which it comes
What's
from.
the term that you would use instead of saying self-sabotage?
I'm just going to explain it, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm all ears.
Cool. So I think self-sabotage gives a tone of like, I'm trying to hurt the whole of myself, right? Like I'm sabotaging myself consciously. Mm-hmm. I think the reason why we see it as self-sabotage is because we don't see what's actually underneath it. But anytime that you are not acting in accordance with what would be good for you, when you when you honestly look at what's underneath that, what you will find is that there's a part of you that is not acting in accordance with the whole of you because that part of you remembers a pain or is trying to avoid something that you don't want to happen. And it's not that it's trying to go against you. It's just trying to get its needs met. And because you're not consciously meeting the needs of that part of yourself, it's trying to get its needs met in a different way. That's all it is.
Okay.
So,
I like your opinion. I like your
have a question though.
Perspective
with this scenario. I do have a good question.
Sauce, what's your
question?
question?
So does that mean that, like you're saying, it's not about ignoring your feelings, but going through those feelings? Going through those feelings, if it's telling me or if I'm feeling scared, let's say, of this relationship now because of those feelings, now it's preventing me from continuing this relationship, right? Are you saying that by me going through with these feelings, should I end my relationship or should I just be accepting that I feel like this now? How does it or shouldn't it, should it or should it not affect my relationship?
Right? How do you work
How should
through
I
those
organize
thoughts?
those thoughts? Yeah.
Organize them.
Yeah.
Sauce on the money, dude. You need a hug after this, bro. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you a big hug after this.
I got the questions,
Getting
baby. This is
emotional.
important.
So I got-
You know,
and
when
he's like a teddy bear,
TJ started
too.
doing this,
He gives me
man,
big
I paid
hugs,
attention
bro.
to his stuff
After
all
the
the
show,
time.
with that, I'm gonna blow your spot up now. After the show,
End every show with a hug.
I give everybody a little fist pound, handshake, that type of thing. Sauce, he's like, come here. Come here. Come to Papa Bear. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, man, he's a grizzly.
Love
He's
it.
a grizzly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what's
So-
your, how would you deal with that situation?
Yeah. So I think the thing to do is to integrate the parts of yourself that you are rejecting and make a decision from the whole of yourself. So if you're afraid of heartbreak again, and that's causing trouble in your relationship, what you need to do is go back and understand what are the needs that are trying to be met by this self-sabotage, quote unquote, that I'm trying to, that is as acting as a signal, right? What is being signified by this self-sabotage, by this fear of heartbreak? And you have to look at that honestly. Look at the emotion and the fear underneath that thought. That oh, what if she hurts me again? What if, maybe I should just not commit to this, right? Maybe I should just look around a little more or whatever. And what I think you should honestly do is when you allow that fear to come up and give it conscious space and give yourself compassion, and say, okay, oh wow, it feels like I'm sabotaging this relationship. It's not like, well, fuck me then, something's wrong with me, but instead give compassion to what you're actually trying, what that part of you is trying to protect
So
yourself
you're saying
from.
validize those feelings, acknowledge them, know that they're real. And then how do you convey these feelings? That's I think the hardest part is when you're in a relationship, as we're talking about people in relationships, overthinking the relationship based on past trauma, all this stuff. When it comes down to you're not feeling okay in this relationship, you want this thing to last. A lot of people nowadays, they're not going to work through this shit. They're just cutting bait and leaving, dude. There's Tinder, there's Bumble, there's Fuckbook, you name it, it's out there, okay? So how do you properly, what would you go, how would me or Sauce go to our old ladies and be like, listen, I have been having some feelings right now that I want to go to a strip club and put a firecracker in my ass and walk on stage like a dog. And that's what needs to happen in this relationship to keep this relationship alive, baby. And me and you, we're going to do this. And she's going to look at me and be like, you're fucking crazy. You can't just go out there and do that shit. How would you try and convey your inner feelings about a relationship to the person you care about in the relationship?
Just create an atmosphere of intimacy, an atmosphere of vulnerability. And if there isn't one, then you're not going to feel safe enough to share those thoughts, right? But I think So
what you're saying is a couple bottles of Camus, some Yankee Candles, a little Trey songs on, get down and dirty, fucking oil it up. God damn it, that's intimacy right there, son.
That's exactly
That's
what I'm
intimacy,
talking
and it's
about.
wintertime now too. Get the flannel sheets out. Well, hey,
That's what it
listen,
is.
flannel sheets, dude. Flannel sheets,
they do the-
fuck. Yeah,
they do the work, man.
They do the work. So create an
okay.
intimate setting where
Yeah.
you guys are close and vulnerable, and then get vulnerable. A lot of
Right.
people don't get vulnerable in their relationships.
Right.
A lot don't.
Right.
Joe over here, he's 17. He's never been vulnerable a day in his life. He's over here. He told me, by the way, our camera guy, Joe, 17, not a virgin. He's on Tinder. He's on Bumble. I think he may have a grinder, but that's on him. I don't know. I don't judge. Don't judge. But he says he doesn't even talk to anybody. He hasn't been on a date. He messaged them and they show up to the house and bang, 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 away he goes. So vulnerability is dying off as we're all getting older. It's the truth. I don't call them weddings anymore. I just call them pre-divorce parties because that's the inevitable nowadays with our age group. So your clientele from 27 to 35, that age range, your demographic, really, trying to get vulnerable for them must be a huge challenge. You got to be a very secure, confident individual to sit there and open up your darkest feelings to somebody that, honestly, if you have a 5-year plan, may not be there in 5 years.
Right.
It's hard. It's a hard thing.
Yeah, it is a hard thing. Vulnerability, it does take a lot of courage to allow yourself to open up. I think I'd like to, in some way, pivot in the conversation in some way. I think there was a point that just kind of wanted to clarify, just to like jump back one or
Oh
two
yeah, of course.
steps. Like, I think we may not have left people with a sense of what to do, right? We were talking about overthinking, and we were talking about, okay, self-sabotage, and what do we do when we are facing the fact that we have some form of self-sabotage, and we have these thoughts that aren't aligned with who we are, and we're seeing ourselves not actually act in accordance with the whole of ourselves. And what I wanted to leave people with, and I think you kind of asked it, but I don't think it was addressed, if something else came up, is that you have to, when you include this part of yourself that you're rejecting, that, I can acknowledge now, finally, I'm allowing myself to acknowledge that I have this feeling, this fear of being abandoned, and that's why I'm sabotaging myself getting into a relationship. I'm going to abandon them before they abandoned me, kind of thing, right?
Validization.
Right, as an example, right? Yep. So that's a first step, is recognizing and allowing, which is validation. And when you investigate, when you discover that it's coming from a place that is lovable, it's understandable, you're just trying to satisfy that need, and nurture that, and then bring that in from your subconscious into your conscious mind, and include this need into the whole of yourself, and not include it into the other parts of yourself that want other things, like the part of you that wants a relationship as well, that not just the part of you that doesn't want a relationship or that is scared of a relationship. Include that into the whole of your conscious decision making.
Okay.
And then make a choice based on the whole of who you are and the multiple parts of who you are, considering all of the possibilities of who you are, the needs, the desires, the fears that you have, and making a decision from your head, heart, gut, all aligned together, and make a choice from there, right? And irrespective of, if it's going to be uncomfortable, or I just want this right now, or this is what I don't want in the future, including all of them, and making a decision from a conscious place that is aligned with the part of yourself of who do I actually want to be in the whole, right? So that's the way to overcome that quote unquote self-sabotage. It's not to reject that part of yourself that, I'm self-sabotaging, I should hate this part of myself.
It's
but
accepting.
Right. And
accepting that part of yourself.
The thing is, people have this misconception about acceptance. They think that, if I just accept it, then I'm not going to change. Acceptance doesn't bring change. But for me, and for my clients and people, what I've actually experienced is the moment you begin to fully accept the reality, when the weight of the reality of what's happening hits you in full, which only comes when you accept it. That's the moment when when you begin to understand what you can do about it, right? So that's for me is how acceptance leads to transformation, is by fully acknowledging the reality of what's actually happening. And when you stop avoiding or stop rejecting reality and what's happening, and you face it fully, that part of acceptance allows you to feel more free from trying to change reality, and you can do something about it now.
Do you find yourself dealing with a lot of people that are either thinking about or currently in a career transition?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself talking to people that are not really happy in their relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself talking to people that kind of have a rough home life, family life?
I feel like I'm filling out a survey.
You're filling out a survey, right?
Yeah.
Well, so the question is, because everything that you're talking about, right, is a very fine line with therapy. It really is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in therapy. I've done therapy. Mm-hmm. I'm a big advocate for therapy. I think everybody should talk to somebody. There's a lot of shit that happens in life. Everyone goes through traumas. Everyone has a trauma in their life. No matter how big or how small, it's your trauma. That's your mountain. That's your shit. Everyone has shit. And I feel that you find yourself mucking around in a lot of people's shit.
Yeah, the difference is in methodology. So the difference is not in topic.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How do I say this? How do you kind of wade through the waters without it being therapy, without it being more advice on life coaching, but kind of narrowing in on somebody's how do I say this?
I know what you're trying to get
You know
at,
what I'm
right?
getting at?
How do I not let it fall into therapy? How do I not let it fall into counseling or consulting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, great question. I think people don't really know yet what life coaching is.
Yeah.
The way that I think about it is calibrated and powerful, open-ended questions, and it's me as a coach meeting at the same level as them. I'm not above them, giving them some diagnosis.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them what's going on in them.
Yeah.
Rather, I'm using curiosity. I'm using mirroring. I'm exposing parts of their subconscious to themselves.
Okay.
I'm reflecting back to them. I'm partnering with them. It's a genuine partnership. I'm not above them.
Mm-hmm.
And I use intuition, curiosity, powerful questions, championing them, accountability, facilitating action plans. So these are my tools. And some of those tools, some therapists also use and some counselors also use and consultants, but therapy tends to be more certain types of therapy tend to be more of like, I'm going to tell you what's going on in yourself, or maybe here's what's going on, or here's some advice, or different, or maybe if it's even just
I feel like therapists are more diagnosing a problem. Say, listen, you have a problem. Here's a diagnosis. Here's a technique, or here's a prescription, XYZ. Here's what's going on. You're not really diagnosing someone's problems. You're kind of hearing them out, trying to fix them to motivate them to grow, to move on past whatever hump, whatever valley they're stuck in.
Right. So that's another thing, is that I'm not fixing them. I'm not motivating them. Right. It's strange, right? But the thing is I'm helping them to understand their own problems better, and helping them to discover tools within themselves to help themselves to see it in a different perspective about their situation, about their problems, and giving them the tools for them to be able to fix themselves.
So
Question that I have for you.
you also mentioned a lot about
Sauce has a question.
mentioned that most of the steps that they go through is clarity, confidence, and consistency. How do you apply that? Because like you said, you want them to be self-sufficient. You want them to be able to grow upon on their own. You know what I mean? And what you were mentioning just now sounded a lot like clarity. You know what I mean? Of their situation and the confidence to go through that situation. You know what I mean? So how do you kind of guide that process?
Right.
Good question, Sauce.
Yeah, great question. Thanks.
God
Appreciate
damn,
that, man.
dude.
I'm on the money, baby.
He's over there on Google like a motherfucker right now.
He is. I bet he
He's
is.
like, oh, dude, I got some good ones for you.
Yeah, great. So how do I include clarity, confidence, and consistency? So it depends on what that person is coming to me for, right? Some people, they come and they have this question of, who am I really? I don't know. I'm noticing that I don't know exactly who I am. I've been a people pleaser all my life, or I've been a perfectionist, and I'm trying to reach some ideal of who I want myself to be, but I don't really know who I am or what I want, right? So that tends to be clarity, getting clear on who they are as a person, uncovering their values, uncovering their underlying thought patterns and mechanisms that are operating within them, right? And confidence tends to be around the belief systems that they have and what they believe is possible for them. And the way we address that is just by simply going into certain behaviors that they're showing, and what belief systems underlie those thoughts, opinions, emotions, actions. And we uncovered the belief systems, what experiences created those belief systems, and in some way reinterpret those.
So when you're saying belief systems, are you talking about religious belief systems?
No.
So not spirituality?
Nope.
So the belief system is what per se? What would you normally uncover in someone, let's say 32 years old, thinking about switching jobs? Let's say you're working on Wall Street, you're fucking looking at numbers all day. You got 9 computer screens in your living room. You hate life right now. You're paying, $6,000 a month for a studio, and you're like, what am I doing here, dude? I'm running out drinking beers by myself at 2 PM. We got a problem. I got to fix this. How does this? You go, what's your belief system? I believe in happy hour. How does that work?
Yeah. So, can you clarify your question?
My clarification is, when you're saying belief systems, identifying a belief system, what would be a belief system? What's an example of someone's belief system which you would identify and then help them with?
Right. So for example, someone, they don't believe that they can make that shift that you're talking about into a new job, and
confidence.
Right. That's one of the things. One of the things that they have a belief in, or don't have a belief in, is like my ability to do something, or I believe that I'm not going to be able to transition, or I believe I'm not good with transition in the first place, or I'm washed up, and it's a belief system. That's what it's referring to, a belief about the world, right? And about themselves. And it tends to be the kinds of beliefs that tend to help people with is the beliefs around their sense of self-trust, around confidence, around self-doubt, and in relationships as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like the idea of helping people with their belief systems. I just don't understand the concept with the difference between belief, because when I think of a belief system, I think of religion. I think like, okay, this person believes in Buddhism, this person believes in Christianity, that type of thing.
I think, and if you don't mind, I think what TJ is trying to say is the beliefs that you have within yourself, like how you see life within you, rather than like those kind of beliefs. So
see,
like,
that's why I'm relating that to confidence.
Yeah, so it's
I
like,
think that people are lacking the confidence in what they're doing, or the confidence of making a jump, making a life change.
Making a decision.
And you need a little confidence, a little pep talk, a little coaching, a little, hey, focus here, get in the game, let's get this thing done. You can get through this situation, all that type of thing. Is that what we're talking about?
Instead of guiding through that decision, it's more so like guiding them through the process to make that decision, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's a good way to express it. So it's like, I'm not motivating them, I'm not like kicking them in the ass, like sometimes, but it's a lot more of a space for them to step into, rather than me stepping all the way for them and giving them all these it's like, I'd rather believe in them to be able to self-motivate, right? And give them that space and help them to develop that ability to self-motivate, rather than just motivate them, right? Because that creates a dependence on me. And I don't believe any service, like psychologist or coach or counselor, should create that dependence by just giving them everything. It's actually not even really empowering when you're doing that, when you're just giving all the diagnosis and giving like, okay, here's exactly what you need to do. I'm going to be the one who is the wise person telling you exactly what to do, and you just go do that, right? When was the last time you made a change in your life? Was it a time when someone just told you what to do, or what was it when you had a change in what you felt and believed about the world and about yourself and what was possible? That self-discovery is what I focus on, and discovery of belief systems is one of those things. Discovery of values, discovery of the ways in which you are not operating on a ideal, optimal level, right? These are other things, right? So,
okay. I understand. I'm getting what you're putting down. Okay. I'm getting what you're putting down. I hold my own reservations on it. See, I'm a confident person, as you can tell. And me, myself, I'm more of a get the fucking thing done, dude. Like, the way I've changed my life was based on traumatic experiences, dude. Like, that's the way anybody changes, in my opinion. You're comfortable until you're uncomfortable. When things happen, life throws you curveballs, and you got to deal with them. And when you get a curveball, you got to play the hand of cards you're dealt. That's about it. You have no other options in it. You can't control things that happen in life. You can control how you react to things that happen in life. You can either lay down and accept it, or you can stand up and fight for it. I'm a person that I stand up and I fight for what I want, what I believe in, and my own personal beliefs. That's it. I'm a prideful person, as you can say. And that is where so for me listening to everything you're saying about beliefs and all that stuff, for me, I'm always the one that believes in myself. I bet on myself. The house always wins. As long as you're betting on yourself, you can never lose. That's the way I look at it. And I know there's a lot of people that they lack that. They lack that. That's why I ask about the motivational question. Is it motivation or is it guidance? That's the thing. Because me, I'm like, dude, if I need a motive, like one of my boys calls me up, he's having a down day. I'm like, not a problem, bro. Let's go out. Let's go have some beers. Let's go do something. You know what I'm saying? We're going to motivate you. We're going to get you back on track, dude. You know? I mean, back in the day, you have some boy. Back when I was a single pup. I'm in a relationship now.
Right.
I'm
free, man.
I my belief system has changed. I'm in a good relationship, all this stuff. But back when my belief system was a little more wilder and crazier, I had a friend. He went through a long relationship, gets out of it. There was things that he didn't want to talk about, she didn't want to talk about, and they didn't work out. That's how that shit goes. So what happened? He's a sad little puppy. I bring him out to Candyland, out to Montauk in the summer, running around doing this club, that club, this bar, that thing over there, anything you could think of. And next thing you know, 3 months later, he changed his perspective. He's a lot happier.
And I feel like
There was a lot of high fives going on, a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter. That's how that shit goes.
And I feel like the difference there is that you already see the cup, like the glass half full.
I'm a half full guy.
Exactly.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think part of the clarity that TJ tries to get to is to continue seeing the half or that cup half full, rather than, there's people who really do just say, I can't do this. Like, I hate myself. You know what I mean? There's people who just like hate their life right now.
Here's a
So
real
then
conversation I just had
forget
on my way
what
here.
they have. You know what I mean?
Real conversation I just had on my
Go on,
way
Brian.
here. My girlfriend that's listening to this right now, she's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're saying this. My girlfriend, she calls me, right? She's having a rough day today. She's having a rough day, overwhelmed, work, school, regular life bullshit, overwhelmed. She calls me. I called her. I'm like, hey, babe, what's going on? She sounds like upset. I just know in the tone of her voice, I'm like, what's going on? She tells me that she's feeling overwhelmed or anxiety, all this stuff. I said, babe, how many hours in a day? 24 hours. Okay. How long was your bad moment? I don't know. It was like an hour. I said, okay, so you have 23 hours left. You had a good day. The rest of the hours were good. So you have 23 good hours and 1 bad hour. Everything you're going through is just a moment in time. That's all it is. And it passes. Everything passes. Nothing is forever. So you have a bad hour, you get through it, and guess what? It's a good day. And if your next day you have more good hours than bad hours, that's another good day. And you string together a bunch of good days, you have a good week. And a good week turns into a good month. That's how it goes. And yeah, we have bad times. We go through bad times. Everyone goes through rough times, hard times, bad times, you name it. But it doesn't make us bad or soft people.
Right.
We got to go through it. That's part of it. That's part of life. So for me, one of my background things, I have a lot of family that have passed away tragically, and those were hard times. Grief is brutal, okay? I have a lot of family that has done time, has been in jail, currently incarcerated, some of my family members. They go through hard times. Though that's time. I have a family member that went in, got out. A couple of them went in, got out. That's it. And you know what the thing is? That's time. That's what you go through. You go through time. It's just a moment in time. They're out. They changed. They're better people. They've learned. This, that, and the third. It's just a matter of the situation you're going through at the time. Nothing is permanent. It's all just a situation. Situations change just like that. Just like that. I went to work one day. I thought it was a regular day. I found out my cousin died. I was like, oh my God, that day sucked. It changed. But it's a situation that happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Life throws you curveballs. You got to react to it. You get up, brush yourself off, and you get back in the game. That's my thing. I'm a glass half full. It could always be worse. With me, I try and be as determined and motivated as I possibly can, because I know people personally that they don't have that opportunity. They're either dead, they're in jail. Life took a drastic change, whether it was by their hand or not. You can't control the shit. So I look at time as valuable. It is so valuable, and we don't have bad days. We just have some bad times. That's it.
Yeah, with a little shift in perspective, it is possible, right?
And so that shift of perspective, getting there, what are some of the top questions that you think people should ask themselves to reach that? You know what I mean? That understanding, that clarity. What are some questions that you ask your clients, for example? You know what I mean? For their own self-process, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think your question is like, what questions do I ask in order for people to
Yeah, like what
shift
do
their
I got to
behaviors?
think about if I want to make that shift in my mind? What is it that, you know what I mean, I should be
How do you get
focusing
determined? How do you motivate yourself? Self-motivation, self-determination. Honestly, like you said, you don't want to be dependent. People don't want to. You don't want to have people depending on you. You want to have them depend on themselves. You're trying to fix them. It's like a GI Joe. You're broken. You're gonna fix them. You're gonna put them back out in the field. You're building soldiers out here, man. There we go, Sauce. There we go, Sauce. I love the intro music. There we go, Sauce. He's on Google. He hit the wrong button. He's on the Googling questions right now. He's Googling questions. He's like, he's
I thought we were gonna
Googling.
start rapping to that. I don't know.
I was ready to freestyle.
Were you?
I was ready to,
No, that was
would
just
have
a
to.
little
couple
incident. You know what I mean? A little
bars.
incident in the background.
A little technical difference. Sauce is over there. Sauce, get off Pornhub, dude. I know you're back there doing some weird things, bro.
Oh, they just uploaded some new stuff, man. Great stuff.
TJ, you sure?
Probably the voice.
The moans that were coming out the last step. I was like, Jesus, Sauce, what are we doing here? The moans and the groans. I was like, what's going on back there?
Oh man, and it's so funny. We just went from talking about that to porn. I love
I
it.
know, right? It's crazy. That's
Great.
what's Pac'n. We get all over the place.
I love it.
So you're trying to get people through a situation in their life, over the hump in the road, but you're not motivating them. You're not a therapist, but you're keeping them in what state?
You're a guide.
You're a
You
guide.
guide them.
Right. So I guide them into themselves, right? With questions, not by.
I come to you.
Yeah.
I come to you.
Okay.
What's your first question you're asking me?
What do you want to talk about?
Myself.
Okay. What about yourself?
You know, dude, I'm in a wild career.
Make
right
it
now.
real.
I'm making it real. I'll make it real. I'm in my situation right now. It's in my situation. I have a regular job, salary. I do this on the side. My true passion, my true dream, I really want to go and be a stand-up comic. I really do. I think stand-up comedy is my calling. I really think it is. I have a plan in place. I do all this type of stuff. You'll see me on Instagram. I do the comedy thing. I do coffee reviews. I make it funny. I do this podcast thing. I make it funny. I write all the time. I plan this winter on hitting a bunch of stand-up stuff. I'm going out there because now I have more time. My job is slowing down this time of year. I have more time. For me to commute to a comedy club right now and then make it to work next day sucks. So you gotta weigh out your options here.
Right.
So that's my situation. Now, my biggest thing is I find myself being lazy. I find myself being lazy in this situation because this is comfortable. This is a comfortable thing. But to drive down to the city, all the way down to the Lower East Side, all the way to Midtown, and then all the way back home, either taking a train, whatever. I'm talking late nights. I'm not going to be home till 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Then try and turn a 7, 8 a.m., alarm clock and get back to work and all that stuff. I know I can do it, but inside of me, I'm like, God damn, that is a grind. That is going to be a grind. I know what's in front of me. I know I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to succeed doing it. But am I nervous about it? Yeah. What if I suck? What if the shit that I'm thinking about, that I'm writing down, what if it sucks, dude? Like, how do I know? I think I'm funny to me. I think I'm funny. I make you laugh. I make Sauce laugh. I make some of these people that watch laugh. But how do I know I'm really funny? How do I know I have what it takes?
Right. So it sounds like you're in a position where what if is stopping you from taking a risk.
I'd say yes.
Does that resonate?
I'd say yes. I think you're right with that.
Okay. So what are those what ifs?
Oh, what if I suck? What if I get out there and all this effort, all this time, all this dedication that I put into my social media, my podcast, my writing, everything blows up in my face? What if I get down there, boot off stage, I bomb every night, back to back to back, and I'm wasting all this time, effort. I mean, you name it. What if? That's a big if. I think everybody that has a career change, everybody that's going through something always has ifs.
Answer that question then. So what if it happens? What if your worst nightmare comes true and you bomb, you put a lot of your effort into it and it sucks and everyone hates it and you don't succeed as a comedian. What happens then?
If?
Yeah. If what you're,
Worst case scenario, you're embarrassed. You feel ashamed. You feel defeated. You didn't succeed.
Who?
Me.
right. So speaking first person perspective.
I will feel shame. I'll feel embarrassed. I put all my time, effort into it, and it flopped. And it flopped. I mean, what if it flops? What if the whole thing goes up in flames? I'm left sitting here, wasted my time, took a shot at a career change that didn't pan out, and I'm back to where I started with less than what I had, and the whole restart, man. You go broke. Like I like to gamble a little bit. All right, I like to gamble. I would say I crapped out.
Sounds like a different thing.
You're at the craps table. I like rolling dice. Let's say I crap out at this thing, dude. You're out. You're out of time. You're out of money. You're out of everything. You're done.
Right.
That's it. You go for broke. That's my big if.
Right.
Then where do I go from there?
That's for you to answer.
I'm sitting here,
So but what you're currently choosing is to not play.
Ooh. See, I have a plan to play. See, I've played. I've done 2 things down in the city before the COVID restrictions. Did pretty good. But since the COVID restrictions, I'm unvaxxed. I'm not waxed, I'm unvaxxed, and I'm ready to rock. All right. So now that the COVID thing is going crazy in the city with the masks and the vax and everything like that, the clubs, to me, the comedy clubs, I'm like, it's not worth going down to the city. Really not. Honestly, it's just no appeal to me. I'd rather go to Connecticut, rather go to North Jersey, Rockland. There's a club over there in Rockland that's pretty good. I wanted to go to a couple different places. Upstate, but the thing is, I keep making excuses. I keep saying all the time, it's going to be a drag. The commute back home at 3 a.m, it's going to suck. What if I bomb and it sucks? And all this stuff. I keep playing those thoughts, those self-doubt, that perpetuating, you're not this, you're not what you want to be. You're trying to be like all this stuff. But I know that's who I am. I know. Listen, I'm sitting here talking to you right now because my own intuition led me here.
Okay, so there's an incongruence that I'm seeing, and tell me if you see it too. You, in the same even breath, you said there's thoughts saying that I'm not, and then you just finished that sentence with, but I know I am. So where's the incongruence?
So I know I'm a confident person. I'm a motivated person. So I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm going through the whole coaching thing 101 right now, right?
Is that true?
That's the
That's the truth.
The truth that I'm talking to you about, all my plans, my ifs, those are real truths. Those are real truths. But in the back of my mind, I know I'm doing this stuff. I when I set plans, I'm determined, and I get it. I mean, that's the way I am. That's the way I'm built. I'll constantly keep swinging for the fences. I'm not worried about failing. I'm not. I failed before. I've had 4 different businesses so far. Some successful, some not. That's the way it goes, dude. But in this endeavor is very personal to me because it's my passion. The other stuff was for money. Right. Money comes and goes.
You can afford to fail at that, and it wouldn't matter that much to you. But this speaks
my
to
heart.
Who you are, right? So if you fail at that, it's
your DNA. It's ingrained in you,
right? So I have this intuition that you weren't playing and I could be wrong. I'm not attached to being right, but I had this intuition that you were being genuine when you said that.
I am being genuine. No, what I'm saying. Let me clarify. When I'm saying devil's advocate, I'm saying I have 100% self-doubt. 100%. Those are real conversations that I have with myself. Okay. But am I not? Is that going to keep me out of doing what I plan on doing? No, it's not. It's not going to keep me from what I'm planning on doing. But I'm portraying like it is. Do you understand what I'm saying? For our own devil. That's what I mean by devil's advocate.
I see.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You see what I'm putting down? You picking up what I'm putting down?
Yes, I am.
You got me.
Yep.
You feel me knocking? Let me in.
Right. So,
okay.
You're in, bro.
All right.
So in that situation, let's now step out of the coaching.
Yes. In
that situation, the next place that I would take that person who has that genuine self-doubt is to acknowledge both of those incongruences, right? The incongruence of okay, I know that this is who I am, but what if I fail? And what if this happens? And acknowledge the full reality that they are holding themselves back, that you are holding yourself back, hypothetically, or however hypothetically this is, that in all these what ifs, it's that's stopping you right? And acknowledging the weight that you are choosing to not do it, choosing to not risk. And I would help that person, help you to let the reality of the situation sink in, that, oh, I'm choosing not to play my hand at all. And that the thing that I'm fearing, that, oh, what if it bombs? What if I put my time and money and energy into it and then it all bombs? That is not as bad as not trying. And I wouldn't just be like, oh, here's the advice. All right, go do it. I would help them to recognize that and viscerally feel, oh my God, yeah, you know what? It'd be much worse to be 45 and say, yeah, I wanted to be a comic at one time.
See, that's what I don't want to have happen to me.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy. See, my plan is, I'm a young guy, 26 years old. I have a good following. I have a lot of stuff. I look at myself like a bottle of wine. All right. Now, wine, it's a whole process. I swear to God. Listen, keep along. Let me keep along with my analogy. So when you make wine, it's a whole fucking process, okay? And then you take the wine, you put it in a barrel, and you let it sit, and it ferments. And naturally, it just gets better. Nature takes over. It ferments and ferments and ferments. And then you pop a cork every now and then. You let some pressure out. Then you put the cork back on, and it ferments and ferments. Then you bottle the wine. You bottle the wine, put a cork in, you let it sit. And then you take the cork out, and that wine is phenomenal. Everybody that drinks it, everyone that smells it, everyone that swirls in that glass goes, oh my God, dude, this wine is incredible. It aged perfectly. The process in which it was made is perfect. You can smell the oak in the barrel from all the fermentation, from all that sitting, from all that effort, from all that time, from all that nature. That's how I feel about myself, okay? The process of which it took me to get here was a long, hard process, but I'm here. The talent that I have is fermentating. I know I have the talent inside of me. It's here. You're seeing it. People are watching it because of it. It's fermentating. It's going. My audience is building, everything like that. Now, when my cork will be popped, when everybody will enjoy my glass of wine, my talent will be on full exposure. Honestly, I believe 35, 36. I think my audience needs to get older. I think that's when people, honestly, comics, they really hit it mid-30s because then everyone can relate. Everyone has kids. Everyone's home. Right now, my audience, they're running around. Everyone's drunk at a bar trying to get laid. That's my audience. That's it. But when they're 35, they're home. They have kids. They're trying to get a night out. They go to the comedy club. They're like, oh, yeah, babe, we're going to the You walk in a comedy club, there's very few people underneath 23 years old, dude. Very, very few. It's late 20s, mid-30s, 40s, 50s, that age range. People that are trying to get a night out. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. So that's why I think I'm just working my craft. I'm fermentating. I'm going to be an excellent bottle of wine for every audience member to enjoy a nice whiff of my comedy at 35.
And what are you doing until then?
Oh, dude, I'm just crafting. I'm fermentating. I'm crafting. I'm getting better. I'm perfecting it because, dude, when my wave hits, it's going to be a tidal wave. I promise you that.
I love that.
Dude. That's the way I am. That's why, I want to, everything I'm doing here is just practice. I do a shitload of coffee reviews. I stand on a sidewalk and make jokes for random people on the sidewalk as I do a coffee review. They love it. They eat it up. People love it. When they see me, it's fun. I'm a funny guy. I do it. It's not so much for social media. I mean, I like social media. I put it on there as content for me to get all people to keep viewing and stuff like that. And it's like a whole gimmick thing. But really, in person, the interactions in real time, in real life, when I'm doing that, that's what I live for. I live for the real reactions of the people that I'm there with. It's quite off guard. And then I'm funny with it. And people are like, oh my God, this is actually entertaining. This is good stuff. And then they recognize me. And it's like, oh, okay, I know this guy. Oh, here's what's Pac'n guy. Like, that's the stuff that I live for. That's what I thrive on.
Right. So if we were in a coaching session, I would use that. I would like pin that to you.
So that's what this is. Right? You'd say, that's your calling. That's your muse. Am I right? This is what we're talking about here, empowerment coaching?
We're kind of around it.
Okay.
So
I'm still feeling for it. Yeah, I'm over here. I'm feeling for it.
Here's the thing. Coaching is something that you kind of experience, right? And so that's just a side note. It's something that truly you have to experience the flow of it, because it's not as particular, like specific framework. True authenticity, it allows for spontaneous response. So coaching is a lot of spontaneity. It's a lot of curiosity, a lot of intuition. That's how I would describe it, right? So it is facilitating in change, right? But let's get away from the concepts around coaching for a second. So what we were just talking about is that I'm just catching myself. So I think you said that like
I thrive in those live situations.
Right. So
off the people, off the interaction.
Right.
I've always been like that since I've been a little kid.
Right. So what I would do is I would say, how can we double down on that? How can we use that motivation to, that inherent motivation that you have to drive your behavior, right? If you did have any self-doubt, right? To how could we use that as a stronger motivator than any of the self-doubt, or to use that to double down on some of the things that you're currently doing to make it even stronger, right? So that's what I would kind of use. Because I, as a coach, I'm listening for certain underlying values, certain strengths, certain emotions fluctuating. Like your voice changed when you started speaking about that, right? So as a coach,
as anybody, when you talk about something you're passionate about, you light up. Your eyes light up.
right,
Your body, your mind, body, and soul is in it. That's
Right.
why it's called the passion.
right. So us as coaches, or me as a coach, I will point that out. I will spend the whole conversation towards driving you towards your gain, towards your
Towards your
success.
passion.
Right. Passion, or towards the understanding that you don't have yet, right? Whatever it is that we set as the agenda of that session.
So if you're longing, if you're looking for your passion, if you're looking for something, that's why like I know what I want. I'm determined. I have plans in place. I'm like, and I have my own goals. I set them, I work for them, and I go and achieve them. That's part of who I am. And that's just me. You know what I'm saying? But for somebody that doesn't understand their passion, that is kind of looking for something, they would go to you and you would help them find that.
That's one of the things I do. Yes.
So you save every freshman in college about 9 different commitments. And Joe, listen to this guy. You're going to be going to school soon. He wants to find out what he's going to do. By the way, we ask it for every show. Cameraman Joe, 17 years old. Can't drink, but he can have sex. I don't know. He says he's not a virgin. Casanova Joe over here. If you go on his Tinder, it's Casanova 12. But besides that, what would you give for life advice to a 17-year-old? He's about to get out of high school. He's going to be picking colleges. What's your 17-year-old life advice?
I would say probably 2 things. They're just coming straight off the top of my head. One is that right now is a time that you can afford to fail. You can afford to be not responsible. Go and just get out of your comfort zone. Do some wild shit.
There you go.
Go do some wild shit, man. Go travel. Go expand what you think is even possible for you. Like, go do that. When I was 20, I went to Japan for 3 months. I went to go live there. I lived in Korea for a year. Like, I did things purposefully for the sake of expanding my horizons, so that I would just change fundamentally as a person. And at 17, 18, doing these kinds of things, it will just add so much richness to your character that will drastically influence the trajectory of your life. So go and do some wild shit. Go consider all the craziest possibilities, because right now is a time when you are filled with possibility and potential. So utilize that shit. Go and dream fucking huge and go fail. Go
Dreams
fucking
so
fail.
big they should be nightmares. Dreams so big they'll scare you, kid.
It's beautiful advice.
Yeah.
Hear that? Swing away. That's good advice, dude. That is good advice. Good advice. You happy with that one, Joe? Yeah. Good. Write that one down. That's a good one, dude. Yeah, he's jotting it down.
All right.
See? He's
I'll
saving
go.
that for later.
I'll listen to this podcast later
Over
on.
and over on repeat.
Right.
He's gonna listen. He's like, I gotta edit this thing. I gotta hear it 100 times.
I'm gonna see him maybe a couple years from now doing some wild shit.
I'm telling you, dude. This kid, he's like way ahead of
I can
this.
see it. I
Call-
already know.
Calls me the other night, right? Out of the blue. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm like, Joe, you were 7. Why are you calling me at 2 in the morning? He says, listen, I have a question for you. I was like, what? He said, did Epstein kill himself? I was like, well, apparently that's what it says on the news. He goes, where's the body? Hangs up. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's a 2 a.m. call. I was like, listen, I don't know
At
if
17.
At 17, I had 2 questions. I said, 1, what are you smoking? And 2, how can I get some? Because if you're thinking,
2 great questions.
that's 2 great questions. Well, I'm like, oh my God, my mind's blown. Every time this kid comes around me, lays a bead of knowledge that just 17. He's been sucking in
not about age.
all these wisdom questions. Every guest we always ask, the 17-year-old advice, and everyone lays some truth on this kid. He is like a sponge. He's absorbing it. I'm proud of him. Looks like Spagoli. Not a virgin, apparently, according to him. I don't know, though. Me and Brian have our own bet on that. We have our own bet. But
I know he's swinging.
I think he's swinging. He's out there. By the way, speaking of not a virgin, I know, TJ, I have to say this. You look like Tom Cruise. This entire time I'm sitting here, you get this all the time.
I've gotten it before. I think out of everyone that people compare me to, Tom Cruise is probably the number one.
Bro, you look like Tom. So before we started, you walked in. I was like, you look like Tom Cruise. Yeah. Tom Cruise, I don't know if you saw the movie Vanilla Sky. You ever see Vanilla Sky?
Nope.
Okay, go home. Total mindfuck movie, dude.
Right.
Total
I love mindfuck
mindfuck
movies.
Tom Cruise, Cameron Diaz, I think Penelope Cruz is in it. Everyone's hot. This is like early 2000s. They're on the top of their game. They're all smoke shows. You look just like Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky.
That's funny shit.
It's crazy,
He's
bro.
not wrong. He's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. You got it.
That's true, Brian.
All right, don't lie to me. Let's listen.
I think you got it, my man.
No cameras, no lights, right? Just me and you. We're having a beer. We're talking here, right? You in a relationship?
No, I'm not.
Okay. You must pull like a motherfucker. I mean, at the bar, with how you listen and you're giving emotional advice and support over here, I feel like that's hindered you at some points because I feel like you get yourself caught in a situation where you're looking at your friends like throwing up a red sign like a flare, like, get me out of here. This girl will not shut up. I'm listening about her 9 cats that she has at home and their personalities.
Well, here's the thing. I coach when I coach, and I'm TJ when I'm TJ. I'm I know how to compartmentalize. And I use coaching tools sometimes because they're coaching tools are relationship tools as well. So I will use them at a bar or with a friend or with a girl or whatever. Like,
oh yeah,
sure.
I know you. You're going up and you're going. What's your name? What's your sign?
Getting all philosophical.
Get a little philosophical. By the way, I'm a philosopher. I think about things, deep thought things. Do you understand the concept of self-sabotage? It's not even a concept.
It just stares into the abyss.
Just stares, just looks with a fire. I feel like you drink. What do you drink?
Longing
You drink beers? You drink
I drink Scotch neat.
Definitely a sifter glass. This guy's sitting here with a sifter glass. Let me tell you something.
I stroke my non-existent beard.
About my childhood.
Yeah, let me tell you something about your childhood.
That's exactly how I
know. I just know it. He has like a smoker's jacket, looked like Tom Cruise. This guy was cleaning up, dude. Cleaning up. Brian, I'm telling you right now, this guy, next level when it comes to picking up game.
You got a little crush on him, my man.
I just sat here.
That's what it is.
I listened to this guy give out all this like advice, how to be like one with yourself and everything like that. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, I'm going, I have Tom Cruise telling me the ways of being a confident and happy person. And I'm loving it.
Yep.
I'm loving it. All right. TJ, thank you so much for coming in. Should I call you Tom Cruise?
You can call me whatever you want. Tom Cruise sounds good.
Oh, Tom Cruise. All right, Vanilla
Tom,
Sky.
I'll see you later.
I tell you what, it was a pleasure having a beer with you. Yep. It was a pleasure having a chat with you. Deep conversation.
Love it.
Love it, bro. Wish you the best of luck. And for everybody out there that wants to find you, wants to talk to you, wants to have a coaching session with you, how do they find you? Where do they get you at?
Mostly through Instagram. Just go to @_TJ_MEAGHER.
How do I pronounce your last name?
Mar.
See, me and Sauce, we were talking before. I was like, how do you say his last name? Because it says like
Meagher.
Meagher.
Yeah, everyone says that.
I'm like, Meagher. I'm like, how's this guy last name? Right before we came out, I was like, what's your last name? You're like, Mar. I'm like, how? Why is there a G in there?
It's Irish.
Irish.
Mm-hmm.
The Irish. And what was, there was a thing, I don't know if it's real or not. Departed, great movie. The Irish, they're impervious to psychoanalysis. But yet here you are.
I have a client who is from Ireland.
No shit.
Yes.
I got a cousin who's marrying a guy right from Dublin. Rob, great guy.
Maybe he's my client.
No shit. I tell you what, you get up to Boston much?
Not really. No.
Not really? A lot of Irish up there. I was just in Woodlawn and Yonkers, drink with the Irish. The Irish are, they can drink, son.
They can.
They can drink. It's
in their blood.
It's like, okay, I'm going to go right. Like, Central Americans love soccer. Everyone's from Central America. Brazil, soccer. That's their sport, okay? Americans, football. Not football you kick, football you throw, okay? You talk about Ireland, drinking is a sport. It's a sport. It's a competition. It's an event. It bonds families. Sometimes separates them. But definitely they talk about drinking with pride that someone would talk about like Pele. You know what I'm saying? Someone would be like, Neymar. And then you're like, Guinness. It's crazy. But pleasure sharing a Corona with you, the one that comes in a bottle, not in a cough.
Yes.
Brian, as always, dude, health, wealth,
We
happiness.
here. What's Pac'n? Peace.
Peace.